Hello students, welcome to SPM IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is how to choose an optional subject for UPSC preparation. As most of you are aware about that in UPSC examination you have to choose an optional subject for around 500 marks, and each optional subject will have your two different papers. Now there are certain basic characteristics or other criteria that you can consider are required for you to understand before choosing an optional. Firstly, you should have an idea that there are around 42 optionals which is being offered by UPSC for you to choose from. There are certain optionals which are very popular, such as you can say geography, similarly history to some extent. Then you will see that philosophy is also one of the popular subjects, rather political science. Again you have sociology, public administration, anthropology, so on and so forth, right? There are certain optionals which you can directly relate to if you belong to that particular, you can say, if you have a certain background or educational background from that particular option. So this is the first thing, that what exactly is your educational background. So in case you are a law graduate, or for that matter a doctor, then it will be an easier choice for you to make, that if you want to go for law optional or for that matter medical science optional. Similarly, most of the times students, if you are from your say let's say arts subject, or you are from the arts background that you did your graduation from, right? Now then another thing that matters is your interest. See, rather these are very common basic parameters or criterias, those most of the time student will consider while choosing an optional. Interest is by far one of the most important criteria, because no matter what optional that you are going to choose, you have to study that optional for around, let's suppose, 4 to 5 months minimum. This is with respect to your classes, that is of around 3 hours every day. Apart from that, you will also be needing, or rather you will also need to study the same option for around 6 to 7 hours on a daily basis, right, while you are preparing for your mains examination, right? So this interest will play a very crucial role. Then there is another aspect with respect to your optional, is that whether it is a small, the syllabus which has been prescribed or rather given by the UPSC, is it a small one or the medium one or the large one, or in case there are few syllabus which are very detailed or rather explained in a detailed manner, such as the syllabus of history, you can say for that matter, or other optionals also, right, where you will be understanding that how much time or rather how many days you are going to take to finish that particular optional. There are certain optionals which are, you can say, shorter in a sense, and then there are other optionals which are relatively lengthier, right? This is also one of the parameter from where you can choose your optional. Then comes another important facet, and that is the overlap with respect to your general studies syllabus. There are many or rather numerous optionals which are directly, you can say, playing important role in your general studies subjects, such as in paper 1 you will see geography and history, similarly sociology or majorly the society part, right? That makes these three important humanity based subjects rather a crucial one that you can choose from. Similarly, in the general studies paper 2 you will be having your political science, international relations, so that comes a very handy. Similarly, in paper 3 you will have economics for that matter, right? And paper 4, philosophy and psychology to some extent can help you gather good marks or rather better marks, right? Then overlap with the prelim syllabus is also a crucial aspect for most of the students, right? As you have seen in case of certain subjects such as geography, or for that matter history and art and culture, similarly political science, right, or the questions those are being asked from that particular section, or the economics. So somewhere around 15 to 20 questions, right, you are going to see in your prelims from these different respective subjects, and at the same time there are other subjects where you will not find any resemblance when you are trying to study for your prelims. So this choice is going to be there. Then additionally in mains also, in what exactly and in, you can say, in what exactly manner that particular subject is going to help you, right? Because in the past few years we have seen a trend, and the trend is that if you have philosophy based or other optional which is a philosophy, it is going to help you to much extent in your essay paper. Similarly, if you have optionals which is to some extent related to society also, is going to help you in the essay paper, right? Additionally, you will have an extra advantage in general studies, different areas. Then comes another aspect, whether your optional is a static one or whether the optional is, you can say, dynamic, where the role of current affairs is, you can say, much more rather than your static syllabus, or rather than your static optional. Static, the very good example of, you can say, syllabus of optional such as geology, not much is changing there. Similarly, science related optionals such as physics, chemistry, or the another good example is history, so that if you are making notes or studying that particular subject, then you need not have to update it on a regular basis. But on the other side, we will see there are other optionals which needed, you can say, they need to be updated. Rather, I am not saying this outrightly, to be honest, where that even in the subjects like history or sociology, right, you there will be an element or updation that is required as the studies are advancing, and the numerous, you can say, new researches or insights will be generated in that optional. What you have to understand is that the core syllabus of the optional, is it going to change or not? So there are certain subjects where the core syllabus is more or less static, and there are certain subjects where you can see changes are there, they are dynamic in a sense. Then comes another aspect, rather what exactly is the trend of rather score in that particular optional. That means how well is that optional doing. Now we come to know about the scoring for that matter from the reports of UPSC, that generally we go and see that. But the issue here is that whatever optional that you are going to choose, you have to have a very good understanding of that optional, and additionally you need to have a kind of specialization that is required, right? Because no matter what optional you choose, you will have to score near around or more than 280 plus, right? Let's take this to be an very sort of, you can say, ideal score to get into an IAS. Again, we are considering it to be from, let's say, a very positive sense, considering you are having a good or rather decent enough score from your general studies papers as well as from your, you can say, interviews, right? So optional becomes a very crucial one. You will understand, we will see a very important data, right? Or rather, I'll show you few mark sheets also from the last year, that those are available to us, that more or less most of the optionals are the scoring ones, and roughly these optionals are in this range only, where you will see that the good number of students, or rather the top 5 or 10 students, those who are getting selected from those optional, are scoring about 280 or 290 plus, right? Additionally, the most crucial part is, again, see, earlier what used to happen before 15 or 20 years, you can say that availability of material or rather availability of resource was a very important aspect, right? But we are living in an internet era, and most of the books thankfully are available to us, right? No matter where we are sitting in the country. So this is a very crucial part, rather what is the guidance or the exact level of guidance with respect to your optional that you are getting. That means all the resources of those optional, and again a good quality resources needs to be there, right? Adding to that, the mentors, are they available to you, right? Additionally, a good quality of a test series, or for that matter answer writing for your optional, so is it available, right? and at the same time all those you can say aspects are going to play a crucial role, right? Now let's look at this important or rather very crucial report which is of UPSC, right? Again, this is again not you can say the very recent one. This is based on the data of 2020, but good enough to for us to understand that how exactly different or rather the famous optionals have performed, right? Again, first we will try and look at anthropology, right? Again, the number of students who have appeared in case of anthropology for mains examination are around 1211, right? And the overall recommended or rather selected students are 100 from the entire. Let's say there are number of students 950 or 1000 which are being finally selected, in which you have 100 students coming just from anthropology, right? Additionally, similarly, the other popular kind of subjects such as economics, right, where 236 students have appeared and 31 have selected. And here you will see the difference that 13% students are the total selected students from economics, while anthropology, despite having 100 selections, is somewhere lingering around 8 to 9%, right? This data is roughly same on a year basis, more or less same, right? Let's talk about geography. So in case of geography, we will see that somewhere around 1322 students have written the mains with geography as an optional, and some 95 students have got finally selected. That means again the percentage coming to 7 or 8%, right? Then we will see another optional, that is history, and again 2020 was not a very good year, we can say, for history also, as there is only 4.1% selection. But before that, after that, this trend is roughly around 6 to 7%. Now you have to keep one thing in mind, right? There are other optionals where the number of students who have chosen that optional is not very great, but yet the success rate is relatively better, especially in case of your literature subjects, right? Now the very popular rather subject in case of UPSC civil services, that is your political science and international relations. So as per the last report, that is the 72nd annual report of UPSC, somewhere around 1863 students have appeared with the political science as an optional, and 154 have got final selection, and that is again the percentage comes around 8.3. So this is available for most of the subjects everywhere, you can see that. Now let's discuss the mark sheets of the last year, especially 2023, whatever important different optionals that we have, right? So these are the options, you can say. Again, this is a sample size, a big sample size, and from that sample size we come to know that okay, there are good number of students who have scored very well in different optionals also, right? Such as we will see one by one. There are all, you can say, majorly all the optionals, right? Especially popular ones as well as the rather non-conventional ones also, where students have able to cross that barrier of 290 or 300 marks, or at least they are able to reach that, right? So in case of geography, we will see that should again the marking is also good. This is again for 2023, right? Similarly, you will also see in case of mathematics, so 142, 169, right? That means no matter whatever optional you choose, these are the science based options also, like chemistry, right? The scoring is somewhere around 160 and 153, right? This is rather a very good score. Similarly, for all the other optionals, right? Let's talk about anthropology, 164 and 139, right? So students, especially the recommended ones, they have got good marks. Again, anthropology 155, 144, right? History for that matter 141, 124, right? So see, all the different optionals, they have performed well. 137, 148, right? Similarly, mathematics, okay, we have seen that earlier also. In case of mathematics, you will be surprised to see people are even scoring, right? 187 in their optional paper 2. And let's see 149 in optional paper 1. That means the optional is a very crucial decider. See, all I have to show by this very important data is that there are different optionals, right? Such as medical science also has done very well. So not just the conventional but rather non-conventional options, right? Such as the ones which are taken by the, you can say, the different individuals or candidates who are having their specific background has also done very well. Agriculture has also performed very well, 130 and 155, right? So any score which is way beyond 280 is good enough to get you recommended in case of UPSC, right? So this is also a crucial one. Then we have geology. Again, this is not very conventional option. Rather, this is the one that is not being taken very regularly by the students, but also it has performed very well. So my entire argument is that means every optional has a potential to do well as well as a potential to not do very well also, right? So that's where you have to choose, right? Again, geology, we have seen that. Economics has done very well. A student was able to manage and score 164 marks in the paper 1 and then around 135 in the paper 2. So again, this was a very good enough score for that candidate to get into IAS, right? So keep this in mind that no optional is again bad or for that matter very good also. So it is also the parameter that how that individual is also, that means a candidate or aspirant, how very well you are trying to approach this optionals and trying to study them, specialize them. Then comes philosophy, 126, 153, a good enough score in case of paper 2, right? Then we have mechanical engineering, right? Similarly, anthro again. Then we have electrical engineering. Student is scoring even 186 mark in the paper 1. But these are not the optionals for everybody, right? Electrical engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, medicine for that matter, or even law. These are all the subjects which are specialized again, which are for the students who have an educational background in those particular or respective subjects, right? But also they are good enough for you to get, or rather these marks are enough to compensate for general studies. But don't see, you have to also consider that these optionals are very lengthy also, right? And we have seen other data. Now, considering other aspects of optional and not just going for the average, or you can say the UPSC report, that means what or how many percentage of the student from the particular optional has got selected, right? Rather, you should focus on other criteria such as guidance, quality, material, whether you are able to make notes, right? And are you able to, you can say, update those notes regularly, right? How dedicated you are in case of making your optional, you can say, more relevant for your general studies. Similarly, the trend or the performance of the optional, this is also most of the time students try to consider that. That means if the last year or last to last year we see that a particular topper has an optional, let's say in case of few toppers 2 years back, we have a topper from history also we have seen. Similarly, we have seen toppers from political science time and again, right? So in past 2 to 3 years, this is not going to be the change, rather trend all the time, always, right? So this cannot be your whole and sole criteria where the optional of the topper is going to be your optional also. Rather, you have to also consider other aspects, right? The ones, those we have also discussed in the previous manner. Then most of the time you will go and meet the teachers or for that matter mentors. They will say that go and look into the previous year questions, right, of your optional or the optional of your liking that you want to choose, right? But the problem is, you can say, again, problem arises when without studying that subject you just try to analyze the questions, right? and on the basis of that questions you are trying to make this big decision. So there is a sort of, you can say, again, you cannot completely rely on this aspect, rather you can relate with that optional by looking into PYQ. Okay, am I able to understand this particular thing, right? If there are questions on, let's suppose, thinkers, scholars, right, so am I able to understand that or not? If the optional is conceptual, or for that matter factual, if it is conceptual and you're good with your conceptual things, right, then that optional you can relate to very much. Then there are students who find that okay, certain optionals are factual, I'm good with the facts, I'm going to go with this particular optional. Then we have optionals which are mixed in category. Let's talk about anthro also, that the biology part that you'll see to some extent has some conceptual element, right? Then other elements are your factual ones. So these are in general your different basic parameters of optional and those that needed to be chosen, right? With respect to specific optionals, you have to also consider all these parameters one by one and then make a very informed decision, because despite the fact that optional is just of your 500 marks, right, but if you are able to manage somewhere around 300, right, or even more than 280 plus, then you are very much in the race of getting your desired service. Thank you very much.